What is going on YouTube? Matty Ice here, and it is week 2 of the NCAA football season 2016. And it's going to start out with my predictions. A little recap from last week. I was 9-6. Everybody knows what happened during last week's football season, but now we're moving on to week 2. Starting this Friday night at 7 o'clock, it is number 13 Louisville traveling to Syracuse. Both teams are 1-0. Last week Louisville beat Charlotte 70-14. Last week Syracuse defeated Colgate 33-7. Lamar Jackson had a great game with Louisville, and I believe he'll keep on continuing his success. Last week, Eric Dungy for Syracuse, he went 34 for 40. Both teams are going to be really competitive, but I believe Louisville will win this one 28-24. Now moving on to the Saturday games, the first game is at 11 o'clock. It is Penn State versus Pittsburgh. Both teams are at 1-0. Last week, Penn State beat Kent State 33-13, and Pittsburgh defeated Villanova 28-7. Pat Narduzzi, he's doing a real good job for Pittsburgh, and I believe he's leading them to the right success. I have Pittsburgh winning this game 23-14. Also at 11 o'clock, it is 1-0 Cincinnati versus 1-0 Purdue. Last week, Cincinnati defeated Tennessee Martin 28-7, and Purdue defeated Eastern Kentucky last week 45-24. Cincinnati, their passing game was over 260 yards, and but the Purdue passing and rushing game was 350 yards, and I do believe that. But the thing is, Purdue has a lot of holes in their defense, and so I believe Cincinnati is going to win this game. I have them winning 35-20. Excuse me, I have them winning 21-20. My bad. Next game is at 1:30. It is the Ohio Bobcats versus the Kansas Jayhawks. Ohio lost last week to Texas State in triple overtime, 54-56, and Kansas defeated Rhode Island last week, 55-6. Kansas, they are improving, but they're going to need a little bit of help this year if they're going to keep that success, and they're playing a better Ohio team, and I have in this game Ohio winning 35-21. Now moving on to a 2:30 game is the Kentucky Wildcats versus the Florida Gators. Kentucky sits in at 0-1. They lost last week to Southern Miss 35-44. And Florida, they're 1-0. They won last week to Massachusetts 24-7. That defense is still strong for Florida, and Luke Del Rio, the quarterback, he started off a little slow, but I believe this is going to be the game where he really kicks off. Last year last year was a controversial call at the end, and it was so close, Florida won. This year, I don't think that's going to happen. I believe Florida is going to win this game 35-14. To 2:30 kickoff, it is Connecticut sitting at 1-0 versus Navy, who is sitting in at 1-0. Last week, Connecticut defeated Maine 24-21, and Navy defeated Fordham 52-16. Key note in here, Navy, after one game, they are the second rushing team in the nation, and I believe they're going to continue that success next week versus Connecticut, because it is hard to prepare for a triple option team in 1 week. So I'm going with Navy 38, Connecticut 16. Moving on to 6 o'clock, it is the Arkansas Razorbacks versus the number 15 TCU Horned Frogs. Last week, Arkansas came in a close game. They beat Louisiana Tech 21-20, and TCU defeated South Dakota State last week. I believe it was 54-30, something like that. Arkansas, they're still sticking to the ground and pound game, but TCU, they're still really good in the passing game. They had one of the best offenses last week, and I believe they're going to keep that up. I have TCU winning 34, Arkansas 24. Now we're moving on to 6 o'clock. It is the South Carolina Gamecocks versus the Mississippi State Bulldogs. South Carolina defeated Vanderbilt last week 13-10, and Mississippi State, they were upset last week by a missed field goal in South Alabama 20-21. South Carolina, their defense is still holding on, but they're not playing a Mississippi State offense this week against Damian Williams, who went 20 for 28 last week, and I believe he's going to keep his success going. So I have Mississippi State winning this one 17-10. Now moving on to 6:30 kickoff, it is the BYU Cougars, who are 1-0, versus the Utah Utes, sitting in at 1-0. This is a rivalry game between these two programs. Last week, BYU defeated Arizona 18-16, and Utah defeated Southern Utah 24-0. BYU, they have a really strong defense. They're going to keep this going. It's going to be a close game, and I have BYU winning 24-20. Now moving on to a 7 o'clock kickoff. This is the college game day pick of the week. Is the Virginia Tech Hokies versus the number 17 Tennessee Volunteers. Virginia Tech, they beat Liberty last week 36-13, and Tennessee, they won in overtime last week to Appalachian State 20-13. Virginia Tech, they have a great pass defense, and if Tennessee, they're going to have any success, they're going to have to rely on Jalen Hurd. I believe they're going to stick to him a lot. And so I believe Tennessee is going to win this game 35-25. Now moving on to the last game, the 9:30 kickoff. It is the Virginia Cavaliers who are facing the number 24 Oregon Ducks. Virginia lost last week in upset fashion to Richmond 20-37. And Oregon, they beat UC Davis last week 53-28. Oregon has, after week 1, has one of the best offenses in the country. They are going up against an ACC team like Virginia, but I believe that Oregon's going to put it on this game. I believe that the final will be 49-21 Oregon. So that's this week's predictions for the week 2 college football season.